Hello, and welcome to A Safe Place, a podcast where we talk about school shootings and how to keep kids safe in schools. I am your host, Louis Aponte, and today I am very honored to have my new guest, Mr. Kirk Smalley. Kirk is the president of Stand for the Silent, a nonprofit organization that was started in 2010 by a group of high school students in Oklahoma City, Oklahoma, after they heard about the story of Kirk's son, Ty. Hello, Kirk. Thank you so much for joining me today. It's an honor to meet you.
Hi, Lewis. I am so honored to be here. I appreciate you doing this for us.
Absolutely, absolutely. For those that are listening and may not know about your organization or your story just yet, what is Stand for the Silent and what motivated you to start this nonprofit?
Stand for the Silent is a 501c3 nonprofit that basically we go anywhere that we're invited free of charge to speak at schools, communities, any organization that invites us will go about bullying and youth suicide. Um, my wife Laura and I lost our 11-year-old son Ty a little over 12 years ago. It was actually 4,460 days ago.
Wow.
Ty killed himself because he was being bullied at school for over 2 years, and nobody ever did anything to make it stop. Lewis, Ty's mama, Laura, she worked at the school that Ty went to, and she was in the office almost every day trying to get them to get this bully and his pack to leave Ty alone.
Right. And what was happening? I mean, she was actually physically there, so she had more access than I think the average parent would have.
Yeah,
So what was the issue? Like, why couldn't they address it?
she was always told boys will be boys. Bullying is just a rite of childhood passage. It's something every child has to go through.
Right.
The principal would tell her, well, he just needs to toughen up, cupcake, things like that.
Wow.
Um, and then one day, Ty finally had enough.
Wow.
He finally retaliated against the kid that had been picking on him. And,
Mhm.
it's always the second guy that gets caught.
Yeah, I think
You
I
know,
can identify with that.
but this kid walked up. Ty was in the gymnasium before school. He was waiting on class to start, and this kid walked up and pushed him, and Ty turned around and pushed him back.
Right.
And the disturbance drew the teacher's eye. She looked over and she saw Ty push him, but didn't see the bully push Ty to begin with.
Right.
And he's the one that got in trouble. He was sent to the office. He was suspended for 3 days. They called his mama, and she came, picked him up, and took him home.
Wow.
They were shorthanded that day at work, and Laura had to go back. She told Ty to do his homework, told him to do his chores, told him that we'd talk about it when we got home that evening.
Mm-hmm.
Laura came home at 2:38 p.m. on May 13th, 2010, and she found out that a boy didn't do his homework. He hadn't done any of his chores. Instead, my son shot himself in my bedroom.
So sorry.
Ever since that day, we did a lot of research. We've found out that this is happening far too often in our nation and in our world. We're losing kids on a daily basis to suicide because of being bullied.
Right.
I actually have a list of over 66,000 children that we've lost in America in the last 8 years.
66,000.
66,000. The youngest one on that list was only 6 years old, Lewis.
Oh my God.
Man, when we got 6-year-old babies taking their own lives, it's way past time that we
Yeah.
address this situation and we start educating and we find a way to make it stop.
Yeah, absolutely right.
My wife passed away almost 2 years ago in November.
I'm so sorry.
he's finally holding my son again. And I got to be the best man that I can possibly be. And I got to save as many babies as I can while I'm still here so that someday I can hold them both again. And I firmly believe that I will.
That's what's keeping you pushing forward every day, I imagine. Is that, how do you find strength after having those experiences that you've had?
I get messages literally by the thousands from kids that I've spoken to. We've talked to 300 or 3,991 schools now.
Wow.
A little over 3.5 million kids.
Incredible.
And I get messages from those kids that we talk to literally by the thousands that say, "You saved my life.
Wow.
I was going to kill myself until I heard what you had to say, and now I'm not. And I want to help you make it stop, Mr. Smalley." We have chapters in 40 states, 342 chapters currently in 40 states and 18 different countries. Everywhere we go, all the schools that we go to, we try to get them to start a chapter, or we have community chapters. That's a way for them to keep our message alive in their hallways and in their community and help spread it. I can't do this alone. I'm one man.
Yeah, it's a big job. And unfortunately, it happens way too often, like you said. So you train these different chapters on how to get started and how to, I guess, identify kids that might be bully or might be at risk.
Sure. We actually have 2 national chapter liaisons. They're wonderful ladies named Lisa and Tracy, and they work with our chapters after we get their paperwork in and get them approved, and they help by sending resources and best practices, things that are working in schools and communities, things that aren't working. Hey, everybody's been trying this and nobody's having any success. Don't waste your time with it. That type of thing. To help keep our message going. Like I say, these kids are passionate about this. They want to help. They want to make it stop. Our chapters in the schools in particular give the kids that are being bullied a place that they feel like they can belong, that they can be who they are. Our main message to these kids is, "I am somebody."
Right.
And we want them to believe that. We want them to believe that they matter, that they belong, and they have a right to be who they are, and that somebody loves them just exactly the way that they are. But it also, a chapter, we actually have a lot of ex-bullies that join our chapters.
Really?
I've had messages from hundreds and thousands of kids that say, "I never knew that what I was doing could cause something to happen like what happened to your son. And I'm done. I want to change. I want to help make that stop." And they'll join our chapter. And a lot of times they're some of our strongest supporters, and our loudest voices.
Now, are those bullies, are they kind of giving their testimony as far as, owning up to, what they used to do and how they realized they didn't realize what they were doing?
Yeah, a lot of times they do. During my school presentation, I always ask a couple of questions. I'll ask the kids, I'll say, "How many of you have ever been picked on or bullied?" And man, 80-90% of the hands go up,
Right.
And we tell them, "We love you. You are somebody." And then I'll ask them, "How many of you in here are bullies?" And you'd be surprised, but
I was going to say, do they raise their hand?
a few of them will tentatively raise that hand.
Wow.
We tell them, "We love you.
Wow.
You are somebody."
That's amazing. And what kind of reactions do you normally get?
Most of the time during a presentation, probably 60% of the kids are in tears within 2 to 3 minutes of the presentation, and you can hear a pin drop for 90 minutes. My presentation is right at 90 minutes long. And a lot of them are crying, the entire time. And a lot of times, the ones that raise their hand, "I'm a bully," are the ones that are crying the hardest.
Wow.
Lewis, we have raised more than one generation of children in our country now that don't even know what the word empathy means.
Yeah.
They don't even, they've become numb to
Yeah.
death and violence. They've grown up playing video games where they get points for killing people.
Right.
Like that's a good thing.
Right.
They've watched cartoons that are so violent. There's one called South Park where Kenny, a little boy in it, gets killed in every episode, and he
Yeah.
comes back tomorrow.
Right.
Now, what's that teaching our kids? That's teaching them that death ain't real and you get to come back.
Right.
If they can turn on any television channel and watch movies where somebody gets an arm or a limb ripped off and blood squirting. I mean, they've become numb.
Yeah.
To violence.
Right.
And
You mentioned earlier, I'm sorry for interrupting. You mentioned earlier that in the school where your son went, that the reaction, and I imagine that that's still the case today. The common reaction is like, well, you just need to toughen up. Everybody goes through it, and everybody else turned out fine. Why are you being so sensitive, kind of thing, or why are you being a snowflake, or whatever label that they want to toss it. So I mean, do you feel that after all these years in the 40 different states that you're in, do you feel like that collective consciousness is changing?
I do. I think we've made great inroads into raising awareness and to how devastating bullying can actually be. As an example, I did a presentation for 300 plus school counselors at one of their summer retreats here a couple of years ago. And I asked them the same question. I said, how many of you have ever been bullied in your life? And out of 300, I bet there were 280 hands in the air. And I said, leave your hand up. If you were bullied 5 years, within the last 5 years, put your hand down. Within the last 10 years, put your hand down. Within the last 15, 20, 25, 30. And there was one lady that still had her hand in the air at 30 years. And I said, ma'am, you were bullied 30 years ago and you still remember it? And she said, like it was yesterday. Wow. She said, I can tell you exactly what happened, exactly what the kid was wearing.
Wow.
Lewis, that shows that bullying is a life-changing thing. When you are told on a daily basis that you're not good enough, not smart enough, not pretty enough, not fast enough, not strong enough,
yeah,
it becomes life-changing.
Yeah. Especially when you have these unrealistic standards on social media, especially Instagram, where you have all these filters and everything, where they have certain standards of how you're supposed to look and, what are you supposed to be wearing and the places you're supposed to be visiting. That I imagine that takes a toll on somebody's, self-confidence. Especially if you don't have, so many followers or, you're not, I don't know, you're not traveling to Italy or,
social media. Oh God, you probably shouldn't have got me started. We recently launched a new campaign called Social Bullets. And
what is it called?
Social Bullets.
Social Bullets. Got it.
Yes, we actually have a website labeled socialbullets.org.
Okay.
Check it out when you get a chance. Right now, we have a downloadable guide for parents and educators. We are currently working on a peer-to-peer guide because we've learned that kids learn from kids quicker than they learn from you and me.
Right.
All their life, they've had adults tell them play nice and be good, and it goes in one ear and out the other.
Right.
When their own friends, their own peers tell them, hey, we don't have to be this way, they tend to take that message to heart and listen a lot quicker. And so we're working on our peer-to-peer guide. I'm hoping to have it launched within the next couple of months on the website.
That's brilliant.
It is its own website. Socialbullets.org is its own website, but it is part of Stand for the Silent. Cyberbullying has increased more than 75% within the last year and a half since the pandemic started.
Wow.
I have a feeling I know it's because kids are spending more time online. When everything was locked down, they weren't able to hang out with their friends. They were doing everything online.
Right.
And, people my age, I'm in 57 years old, 56, I think.
Mm-hmm.
There, we grew up without, barely had internet when we were going to school.
Yeah.
We don't understand how impactful social media is on our children. We really, truly don't. If you would have told me that Ty was being bullied on Facebook, my answer to that would have been, well, get rid of Facebook.
Let's get rid of Facebook. Right. Yeah, exactly.
And the problem's solved. But you know what? It actually isn't.
Right.
It actually compounds the issue, because now he walks into school and Monday morning and everybody's pointing and laughing, and he doesn't know what's been posted on Facebook or online about him.
Right.
Kids are good with technology. I've been to schools where first graders have smartphones, and they're good with them. They know how to use them.
Right.
They can take a picture of somebody walking down the hallway or in the gymnasium locker room, and
Right.
they can get on and Photoshop that picture to make it look like this person is doing anything they want them to do. They
Yeah.
can create a fake account on social media, post that picture online, and ruin somebody's life with a click of a button.
Right.
And Lewis, even if they get to feeling bad about it and think, oh man, maybe I shouldn't have done that,
Right.
I'll take that picture down, I'll delete it.
Right.
But it's not gone ever. It's out there forever. It's somebody's seen it, somebody shared it, somebody saved it.
Right.
It's always going to be out there.
Exactly.
And I mean, don't get me wrong, we get a lot of good things out of social media. We have, I don't know, 700,000 followers on one of our Facebook pages and another 50,000 on our Facebook group. And and it's a great way to spread a message, especially when that message can be used for the good of people.
Right.
But
Right.
it's also
Absolutely.
a great way to devastate someone too, and so we got to teach them the responsible use of social media.
Absolutely. That brings me to my next question. When you do your public speaking events and you talk about bullying, do you also talk about healthy ways that kids can respond to bullying, react to bullying, whether it's either avoiding or saying something back or speaking to an adult or finding other healthy outlets in order to, I guess, mentally prepare for bullying?
Yeah, we try to offer, when we go and speak at a school, we leave, first of all, a ton of resources, not only for the school, but for the students and for the parents.
Right.
We leave a lot of printed resources for them. We give every one of the kids we talk to one of our I Am Somebody wristbands and our pledge cards.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, that's our main goal, is to try to get the kids that are being picked on to understand that this isn't really about them being picked on. About, most of the time, bullies tend to come from bullies.
Mm-hmm. Right.
It's a kind of a generational thing. If you're raised by a mom or dad or both that have a bullying attitude, then pretty good chance you're going to grow up with that same kind of attitude. You learn from the people around that you're around most.
Right. I agree.
And we try to let the kids know that are being picked on that it's not about them being shorter or fatter or too skinny or not as smart or not as wealthy or not as strong or not as athletic.
Right.
It's about the bully feeling inadequate about themselves enough that they have to make you and belittle you
Right.
to the point to make them feel better about themselves.
Right. Right. And I imagine most of the time that's exactly what it is. Or to deflect, any attention away from themselves. And it's not just kids that are doing it. Adults do it as well. I mean, you see that in the workplace, I mean, it's amazing.
I have what I call my kick the dog theory, based on zero scientific fact. But,
what is that?
I feel like, say I go to work and my boss is bullying me.
Mm-hmm.
I come home and I take that out on my wife and my kid.
Right.
And then my kid, he goes outside and he kicks the dog. because that's the only way he can pass that pain and that feeling down. Somebody weaker or somebody that he can control,
Right.
And
Right.
if we can break that, we see a lot of generational bullying, especially in Native American tribes. I speak at a lot of reservations and all over the country. A lot of the Native American tribes will invite me in, and we see a lot of generational bullying in the Native American culture. Grandma and grandpa, they bullied this family, and mom and dad bullied that same family. And so now the kids bully that same family.
That's amazing.
Just
How did
because
you find out about that?
I don't know.
They
I
just
mean,
contacted you?
something that I've just seen.
That's incredible.
And if we can break that cycle for one generation, because see, a bully normally doesn't bully just one person. That's their whole makeup. That's who they are. That's how they
Right.
are.
Right.
And then so if we can break that chain and that cycle for just one kid, for one generation
Right.
of that family, then they raise their kids to be different
Mm-hmm.
and not be that way. And their kids raise their kids that way, and so on and so on. And think of all the numbers of people that we can impact over the course of time.
Right.
If we can just break that from one time, one kid.
Yeah. That's something I unfortunately can identify with, and we don't have enough time to go over that. But before we go, I was going over your website again, just to make sure I had some good questions to ask you. And I watched this video that you have, a beautiful and powerful music video called "Hey Bully" by Morgan Fraser. And really well performed. I mean, even the performances of the actors, it really touched me. Did she write that song for your organization?
Morgan did write that song for Stand for the Silent. She reached out to me. Her agent actually reached out to me several years ago and said, "Hey, I've got a young lady that has a song she's written for your organization, and she wants to get involved with Stand for the Silent." And they sent me, an acoustic version, and then, after that, we went and she produced this video that's on there now that you are talking about.
Okay.
Morgan was an amazing young lady. She's from Texas, and she was bullied relentlessly until she was in 5th grade, and then her parents pulled her out of school and homeschooled her for the rest of her school career. So she's very passionate about the subject of bullying, and you look at, if you look at that video and you see the pretty young blonde-headed woman that Morgan Fraser is, right, and you ask yourself, how in the world could anyone that looks like that and with that talent be bullied? And Lewis, if Morgan Fraser, that beautiful young lady, can be bullied, then anybody can be bullied.
Yeah.
I
think that really it really expresses itself well in that song. The fact that you're telling me this background, that she was bullied, I think that really comes out in the music, the passion in the music, and whoever directed it really found a way to bring that out visually as well. And just I don't know about the copyright laws and everything, but would you mind if I share that video? It's only three minutes long.
Yeah, you are more than welcome.
Okay, so I have like 4 minutes left, so I'm gonna share this very quickly. You say I'm too fat, you say I'm too skinny, you say I'm not cool, you say I'm not pretty, then you spread it all around and post it online for the whole world to see. Make you feel good, making me feel so bad. Hey, bully, did somebody hurt you, make you feel small? You take it out of me, cause it makes you feel tall. But just get it on, if you looked in my eyes, you'd see. Hey, bully, you're a lot like me. In the back of the bus, you're a big star, but
too far in the headline news says the kids aren't always playing so nice out in the schoolyard. Why you wanna make me cry? You don't even know who I am. If you give me half a chance, we just might have been friends. Hey bully, does somebody hurt you? Make you feel small? You take it out of me, cause it makes you feel small. Bet you're scared and alone. If you looked in my eyes, you'd see. Hey bully, you're a lot like me. It would be so easy to hit back at you, use my pain to hurt you too. Oh, but if I do, nothing will change. I won't be a link in your chain. Somebody hurt you, make you feel small, and you take it out on me, cause it makes you feel tall. Bet you're scared and alone. If you looked in my eyes, you'd see. Hey bully, you're a lot like me. Yeah, bully, you're a lot like me. Ooh, you're a lot like me. Hey, bully, you're a lot like me.
Wow. Oh, that was very powerful. So I know we have like a minute left. I want to make sure that we get this information out. If anybody wanted to find out more information about your organization, if they wanted to donate to help contribute to your mission, how can they do so?
Just go to our website. It's www.standforthesilent.org.
Mm-hmm.
You know, more than anything, I hope that anybody that is listening, try to get me invited to your local schools. Let me come talk to your kids and get them involved with helping make this stop. I have a huge success rate in doing that. And every pair of ears we reach with our message is another pair of lips to help spread it, Lewis. You know, we're losing way too many babies.
Agreed. Kirk, it's been an honor. Thank you so much for joining me. This I think we could probably talk for hours on this topic, but I'm just grateful for the time that I could spend with you. So thank you for sharing your weekend with me.
Yes, sir.
All right, you take care.
You do the same.